or faith here, and this Mulligan case yet tomorrow. I don't know. They're all mulligans to me, but this is a voting rights case. Voting Rights Act, which was a civil rights law that was passed in the 60s to counter efforts by Republicans to limit the right of racial minorities, African Americans in particular, and other racial minorities, their access to the polling place through various restrictions. We have gerrymandering, we have poll taxes, we have a lot of things like that. Now, this video is going to take a bit of a contrarian view from within the civil rights movement. I want to emphasize that I am firmly in support of, obviously, as a racial minority myself, of civil rights, but I want to take a contrarian point of view because nothing seems to have worked in this country with regards to civil rights and the associated equal protections, voting rights, and so forth. Now, the original Constitution includes, the right to own slaves. Not all states had slaves. The northern states, most of them were free. They had a different kind of economy. They didn't require the slave labor. And now, until the industrial age, and they had factory workers and so forth. Now, why do I mention this? This is going to sound a little pernicious with regards to original intent when it comes to slavery being part of our Constitution, built into our Constitution. However, when we consider the modern era, the modern church age that we're in, basically, with the advent of Prince Charles, who has made defending the faith, and not only the Christian faith, but all faiths, defending the faith, Prince Charles has declared himself as number one priority as defender of the faith. So we enter a modern church age similar, possibly, to the one that we've had previously at the turn of the millennium, the previous millennium, where for 1,000 years they had what they called the Dark Ages or the Church Age until the Elizabethan period, represented by the first Queen Elizabeth, who liberalized uh, uh, institutions through London, not through Rome, and created various freedoms that were not that were outside of the church rules. The church used to run the world with an iron fist and very strict rules of behavior, as you can imagine. And the Renaissance, in during the Renaissance, with the growth of the arts and so forth, uh, William Shakespeare, uh, we saw a liberalization of these types of rules, which did make public some of these arts and behaviors that were not condoned by the church. You could see them out in the open, but as we enter this new modern church age, we have to ask, you know, and we're talking about the Voting Rights Act. I'm not losing sight of that. What is best for racial minorities when you have all out war in our streets, and then we have a church age or a dark age where everything is enclosed in closed places, and the outside world that we see, like in the streets of our big cities and on television with our world leaders who are world travelers, this is totally separate than the church world, which is limited in terms of travel, in terms of economic, uh, uh, encouraging the individual to be wealthy is not something that the church does itself. What I don't want to get into all that, but what I'm saying is basically that we have, in this context of a church age, we have war everywhere, and the safety of our homes. This is still a place where, through the church protections and through our service, that we can find some solace from the horrible things of the world. And why do I mention the Voting Rights Act? Because yes, in the Constitution, uh, the um, the slave owners were given uh, 20% vote credit for their slaves. So they would just, count 20% as a round number in favor of the slave, giving slaves some vote. But that vote would go to the slave owner. Actually, it's still, in a roundabout way, it still goes to your owner or your master. This is the way of the world, but I won't argue about that. What I'm saying is, for the less powerful, for the dispossessed, for the underclasses, is it safe to go to the polling place, to put your name down, to show your ID? We're here near the Mexican border, and California has made many, many concessions, including ID for illegal immigrants from Mexico and South America. But basically, it's still not a good idea to show up with such an ID and say, "Here I am." So this is the context of uh, uh, the Mexican border. I wonder whether it really does serve the minority community to push these rights, which are in the outside world, whereas the protection, the safety, and the comfort is in the inside world of in this church age, where you have a home, you have your job, you have your family, all enclosed in your comfort zone, and you're going outside that area into the polling place, which is, a world of lawyers and judges and uh, street cops and stuff, and you're mixing it up with them, and they are a tough bunch to mess with. So, this is the question. In this war torn world, with virus, plague, with all sorts of political disagreements, is it a real advantage to the minority to be able to vote? Is there something else that we're getting as minorities when we vote? What benefit is coming to us? Now, this is, the opposite is obvious. So, I don't want to hear all these arguments, because of course we want minorities to be part of the political system and to be represented. We want to be represented. However, with regards to the defense of the Voting Rights Act as opposed to the original Constitution, we should take a second look. Earth Faith here, signing off.